A tattoo, the internet, and a high-stakes primary election for Maine's Senate seat. And tonight, old social media posts may be coming back to haunt Graham Plattner. He is the Democratic hopeful looking to fill Susan Collins' seat. And this week, Plattner said that he covered a chest tattoo that some people said looked like a Nazi symbol. And here's what it looks like right now. You can see it there. He claims that he didn't know what it meant when he got it.
Are you a secret Nazi?
I am not a secret Nazi. We did what Marines on Liberty do, and we decided to go get a tattoo. And we went to a tattoo parlor in Split, Croatia, and we chose a terrifying looking skull and crossbones off the wall because we were Marines, and you know, skulls and crossbones are a pretty standard military thing.
But CNN's K-File dug up Plattner's now deleted Reddit post from 6 years ago that undercut that claim. In one thread, Plattner weighed in on a conversation about the Totenkopf, which is the Nazi version of the skull and crossbones. And someone else in the thread brought up the fact that some of the Navy SEALs use the so-called Punisher skull as their emblem. And Plattner writes in part, "When I was in Ramadi as a Marine grunt, the SEAL platoon we worked closely with for the deployment all had the Punisher skull spray painted on their armor carriers." CNN also spoke to an acquaintance of Plattner's from more than a decade ago who said that he spoke about his tattoo resembling a Nazi symbol. And a second person told CNN that the acquaintance told them that Plattner had described it as a Nazi-style design.
As you saw from the intro, Democrats are getting under more hot water because it seems like many of them are defending things that they would lambaste conservatives for even mirroring, right? If Donald Trump made any type of gestures, like for instance, the Elon Musk gesture he made about his heart going out to the crowd, and remember the whole news story he created about that? And I found it so the point of insanity that I think many Americans are just getting tired of the Democrats doing this double speak-ish. I wrote on X, if you haven't followed me, please follow me on X. I really would love to have you guys subscribe to see my in the moments when I find these clips and I'm like, no way, this is happening, right? Democrats are like liberals, far leftists are literally doing an about face about some of the things that on principle, right? They were saying on principle they couldn't support. But when a candidate comes that gives them a good chance of winning and he shares most of their liberal ideology, right? Because this is the trait that leftists, far leftists are making. They'll rather have a guy, right? As you saw from the intro, there's more evidence to suggest that he knew what he was putting on his body and he tried to do plausible deniability, right? And this is the type of manipulative tactics that I can't stand about the left, is that conservatives, right? When they were making all these comparisons to Trump and all this stuff because he did stuff like Hitler. If you're a vegetarian, you're like the Nazis because Hitler was a vegetarian. If you're an artist, you're like a Nazi because Hitler was an artist before he rose into political power, right? These are the type of comparisons, right, that the left will try to associate with anybody on the right if they did anything they deem offensive. And this is the common tactic. This is what I'm talking about on the left, that they love to participate in character assassinations. And now the chickens have come home to roost.
Anybody who is asserting this thing he did on the stage the other day was a Sig Heil, which I just heard you say, you know, lawyer up maybe, because absolute ridiculous thing to say.
I get it. It's easier for you to defend, for whatever reason, the Sieg Heil. Okay, but Elon Musk, 2 days before Holocaust Remembrance Day, went and spoke in front of a far-right party, is saying, don't worry about the Holocaust. We can forget about it. You didn't even mention the Nazi jokes he was making on Twitter that actually got
he's been given so many chances
about it. Like a person who wears a Nazi tattoo because he was in the military or whatever claimed that he didn't know the connection between the tattoo and Nazi symbols. He said while he was in the military, he enlisted in the army. It involves a full physical exam of all the tattoos that he has. It never got flagged. He passed a full background check to receive a security clearance to join the ambassador to Afghanistan security detail. Not flagged in any of those situations. This new information is new information, and it will be interesting to see what happens to some of that polling once the voters have this information, because I do think it shows a bit of a different picture.
And before I go into this video, I always find it funny when the left is trying to call you Nazis when the actual definition of Nazi is National Socialist. National Socialist. And you're calling it a far right thing? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. By your logic, Zoran Madami is a far right person. But these people, they love to accuse you of the extremes and evils of their side. And this is a funny part, and this is a funny argument I would love to say when I argue with socialists. I say capitalism, true capitalism has never been tried, and true socialism has never been tried. But every attempt at heading towards either system's direction, socialists cause more death, more poverty, right? More collapse of government, more collapse of governance, more leadership into dictatorship. All socialist systems collapse and become this way. While imperfectly implied capitalist lowers the rate of poverty, right? Give more resource abundance, allow resources to be accessible where people can effectively, the government can effectively tax the private sector to generate all their administrative costs. Make it make sense. I recently found out that according to some poll, almost 10% of US Americans are living off food stamps and SNAP. I just realized that. I just found some information about that. Wow. If a socialist system got that, they'll be bankrupt already because of incentives. I always talk about incentives. And this is the problem I have with all these far leftists. They love to call you Nazi because underneath it's projection. They're the true Nazis. Look at Antifa, anti-fascist, but you're doing fascist tactics because these are left-wing things. Complain about political violence, but who's more targeted for political violence? A lot of right-wingers are. And I'm not talking about just politicians. I'm talking about supporters, advocates, activists. You can look through the videos. You can look through online. And this is the problem that Democrats are slowly running themselves into a circle in. It's because a lot of Americans are starting to realize their hypocrisy. A lot of Americans are starting to realize it's about power for them. I digress. Let's listen into the CNN panel and see what they got to say on this.
But at this point, if he moves forward, Democrats aren't winning the seat.
I hate to break the news to you, but he's winning the primary by 30 points.
Well, I think that's why he needs to get out.
Getting a Nazi tattoo made him more popular.
I don't think it made him more popular
among Democrats. You've got a guy running for attorney general in Virginia who wants to murder Republicans, and he raised $500,000 off of it. You got Nazi tattoo guy in Maine. I sat out here for a year, 2 years, listening to every Democrat at this table say, Donald Trump's a Nazi, Elon's a Nazi, and your party is now in love with a guy with a Nazi tattoo who trained a left-wing paramilitary group and called himself an Antifa super soldier on the internet, and he's going up every day. Good luck getting
and imagine this. The concept of a super soldier was something during World War II, I believe, when people were fighting the Nazis. That's the crazy part about all this stuff. It's an ideology based on wanting domination and power. This is why I don't trust the socialists. This is why many people want gun ownership. Because we don't want to give blatant control and power to people in the administrative state called the government. People talk about how when you look at when there was less government, there was more room for communities to come in and help each other, right? And this is some of the paradox, and this is more about like political ideology that I'm getting into. You don't have to listen to the full thing, but the TDLDR of this is essentially Republicans believe, conservatives believe that the less involved government is, it gives more incentive for people to be more charitable, donate to more nonprofits, church communities, help out, be more involved, because people have this thought, oh, the government's not going to do it, maybe we should do it. And people find out there was more effective outcomes from the church doing homelessness shelters, right? Giving food banks and all that stuff instead of letting the government management. Because end of the day, local advantage. If you're from the community, you live in the community, you know what's best you're more effective and more efficient at producing the outcomes to end homelessness, to do all this other stuff. And look, if you look at the receipts, if you look at California, they spend, I don't know how many billions of dollars of California's taxpayer money, and homelessness increase on their state. Make it make sense. But I bet you churches that live in the community can give a better outcome than the government can, because they have the local advantage. They have the community advantage, right? And it'll probably be cheaper on tax dollars per outcome than what the government's doing. And this is the argument conservatives have from a political sense. The more involved government is, the less charitable people are, because they're going to say, oh, the government can't handle that. You're passing the buck off to the government, a system that doesn't get punished when it makes bad decisions. And you want me to trust a party like the Democratic Party who can do about face on some of the outrage and principles they so-called believe in. Oh, I don't believe the Democratic Party is a big tent for Nazis, but here's a guy with a Nazi tattoo that you not calling to drop out of the race, right? You're not openly condemning. You're just saying, oh, it was bad. It was a mistake. It wasn't his best choice. You try to downplay it. But let a Republican come out. Do you come out with the same? Are you consistent in how you approach these problems? No. And it's the political tribalism that Democrats, in my estimation, is more guilty of than the Republicans.
I am but a humble political analyst, and I will just tell you that when you're winning a race by 30 points, if a pundit on television tells you, well, you need to think about dropping out, you laugh in their face.
I don't know. I feel like,
This is a year out.
I feel like you leave the race.
I want Democrats to be who they are. This is who they are.
This is not.
This is who they are.
No, it is
Why
not.
hide what's inside?
Hold on, you're saying that Democrats are Nazis? Is
I'm
that
saying
what
it's
you're saying
it's
to
very
me?
on brand right
I'm
now.
sorry.
Very on brand.
It is on brand. Nazi stands for National Socialist. You guys are becoming more socialist. So why you be? It's not surprising to a conservative like me who read history on about damn socialism and all its flavors that you guys are defending a socialist. On brand for you guys. I mean, during the time of Hitler, before his atrocities was more widely known on what he was doing, I believe, what's his name? I believe FDR was looked at him like favorably. Many people on the left was praising Hitler. You can find articles of left-wing people idolizing Hitler. So this is on brand for you guys, but you trying to project that on the right, make it make sense. This is why I call many leftists manipulative. This is why I said when I hear a leftist open his mouth, I trust, but I verify. I have to verify them. I do that with everybody, but specifically for the left, because I know their tactics. I read their books. A lot of socialists believe the ends justifying the means justify the ends. If I had to lie, cheat, and steal to get the outcome, if I had to lie, cheat, and steal to get paradise, I would do it. That's what the left has openly acknowledged in all their ideological books. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. In all their ideological books, they say they are willing to do that. Because all they care about is, oh, Democrats, you lied. Democrat, you cheated. Democrat, you did this. But Democrats will ask you in return. But did we win? That's all the Democrats care about. Did we win? And if the Graham guy helps them win, they're going to defend his Nazi tattoo. It was a mistake. He didn't know any better. Even though possibly he could be lying about that. But who cares? But let him be a Republican. Woo! They're going to be like, oh, yeah, look, there's more justifications that the Republicans are this. Now Scott Jennings playing the same game, right? Judging you by your same standards. That's the crazy part about it. Judging you by your own standards. You've been calling Republicans Nazis for years because of things that Trump did like them. Now, the chickens have come home to roost, and you don't want to take on the same pressure that you inflict. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. As a centrist, I don't see how people can take the Democratic Party seriously on this issue here. But I digress. Let this video wrap up.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on, Scott. Really, are you suggesting that like a person who wears a Nazi tattoo because he was in the military or whatever is representative of the entire Democratic Party? Is that the...
I'm only reading the polling, Abby. When all this story broke and he started talking about it, he literally got more popular. He's beating the incumbent governor of Maine by 30 points.
You realize that he's running in one state, in Maine, and you're also saying that because of that, he's representative of the Democratic Party. You said this is who they are. Who is they?
Look at the polling. Look at the energy.
This is
Look,
not about the
this is
polling.
who they
This is
want.
not about the polling.
This is who they want. Bernie Sanders wants him. The beating heart of the Democratic Party, where their energy is, wants the Nazi tattoo guy. That's what they want.
75% of...
I think if this country is about anything, it's about understanding that every person, me, you, everybody else, has gone dark moments in our history.
This is the funny part, right? Because the reason I'm laughing now is because I remember Black Democrats keep talking about how, oh, Republicans, they don't care about you. Kenny, they don't care about you, right? but the Democratic Party are folding, going behind this guy to represent, to be a Senate in Maine, right? Because black Democrats love to put out this idea that, oh, Republicans are doing everything against black people, all this and that. But Republicans ain't trying to back up a guy with a Nazi tattoo, right? Because your standards is, oh, we don't have, oh, the Republicans are fascists, this, that. I don't understand how as a black person you can support that. I don't understand how as a black Democrat you can support this guy winning a Senate in Maine. How Bernie Sanders, a lot of black people I know look favorably about Bernie Sanders, is backing him up. Y'all crying about it online. Black Marxists, black socialists. Y'all crying about it online. Causing a whole race war in the progressive movement over this guy being backed by the Democratic Party. But you have the gall to point fingers at black conservatives? Craziness. And at least on your end, when you call Trump Nazi, that's just your interpretations of his actions. There's no concrete proof that Trump is a Nazi and none of this stuff. But this guy has tattoos on him that he knowingly probably already knew what it meant, but he still got it on his body anyway. And you want to pretend it's the same as all the character assassinations and the name calling and the labeling you try to do on the conservatives. Make it make sense. We have objective facts that he had a Nazi-like tattoo on his body and you still endorsed him. What proof you got? What objective proof you have about Donald Trump? Oh, no, he did something like a Nazi. Oh, he tore down ballrooms like a Nazi. So if you do any type of renovations anywhere, you're like the Nazis now? And it goes back to my example. Are you a vegetarian? Oh, you're like the Nazis. Oh, are you an artist? Are you artsy? Oh, you're like the Nazis. Like this is the name calling that many people get tired of the left. But when it comes to meaningful action, hey, time to hold these guys accountable. Time to live up to the standards that you project onto society. Y'all fold and fail every single time, and you expect me to believe you, trust you? Get out of here.
And we go on.
So you're standing by your endorsement?
Absolutely.
Hold on, Bernie Sanders isn't the head of the Democratic Party. I think
He's not?
And he
No,
absolutely
not at all.
Don't even.
Where's
Hakeem
the
Jeffries and
energy?
Chuck Schumer.
Where's the energy of the party?
Here is what I will tell you.
Schumer
Scott.
wants Mills.
Scott,
Sanders wants this guy, and he's winning by 30.
Let me tell you, this when polling happened,
He
reflecting
is totally
the
unknown. And
entire
he's,
party.
Listen, I understand you don't want to have this guy, and I wouldn't either. He is a totally unknown guy, comes out of nowhere. He's got the full support of the left-wing, progressive Sanders wing of the Democratic Party. And
like everybody
he's
beating is who supports Bernie Sanders?
Yes, look at the polling. And here's the most important thing. He's beating the incumbent governor of the state by 30 points. This isn't happening in a vacuum. People are comparing an establishment figure like Mills and this insurgent left-wing radical like Plattner, and they're like, you know what? We'll take the Nazi tattoos. It's fine. And I think you... Look,
Well,
it may
there
be
is this
early,
new reporting.
but people are following this race, and the polling is pretty clear. It's not that close. Look, he doesn't answer to you. I mean, I wish he did, and I wish you were in charge. He answers to the energy base in your party, and right now, the energy is behind these left-wing, progressive kinds of candidates. This is who they want.
We're talking about this at the end.
They're struggling, bro. Hey, these and the Democrats only got themselves to blame. I talk about this all the time. Results drives outcomes, and a lot of people ain't happy with the results of the Democratic Party. And the far left they want the Democrats to be more oppositional, right? And this is what this whole government shutdown thing is for in the first place. It's to appease the far left base, and the far left base wants this guy. So you may talk about current circumstances of the Democratic Party, but what's the future? The future don't look like the Democrats of old. The future look like it's going to be a more socialist party. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. Do you find it hypocritical? Do you find it annoying as a voter if you're an American voter, or if you're just someone who's just passively observing American politics? Do you find it annoying how Democrats can talk both sides out of their mouth, hold different set of values and standards for people based on their political affiliation, based on what they get outraged upon? Nazi signal, if it was on a far rightist, outrage, calling for his job, he should be condemned, canceled, all this stuff in the whole 9 yards. Same guy, but he's a leftist running for your party. All of a sudden, you're making excuses. It was a mistake. We should be more charitable. Do you find that do you find that annoying? Honestly, I do. I find that very annoying. But That's just me. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.